think there's a combination of everything. You know, we have more population than we did back when I was little.
True.
When I was little, of course, we were taught in school that you never accepted a candy bar from somebody you didn't know.
Yeah.
So there was the awareness, because those things did happen.
Mm-hmm.
I remember trick-or-treating, you know, you were always told to check your candy before you ate it, that kind of thing. I think media plays a lot into it as well. I mean, media has good and bad in the fact that it lets us know
Mm-hmm.
when things are going bad, and we need to be aware if something's going on. But on the other side, that also plays to people that want their 15 minutes of fame or their 10 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
And sadly, I don't have an answer for that. You know, and
Yeah,
so
you think about like the shootings, you know, the recently, and how much, yeah, when you spend a lot of time not really glorifying but giving a lot of headlines to the assailant, to the suspect, and not as equal time to the people that died, it almost creates that, hey, you know, that glorification of it, where someone else is like, well, someone else in a very, very bad state of mind, like, hey, I'm going to make headlines. You know, my life is terrible. I don't see a way out, so at least I'm going to go out with a headline.
right. You know, and you know, I had this discussion with your father. I don't know if it's okay for me to say that on this, but you know, back in the 70s, they used to have mental health facilities.
Mm-hmm.
And during the 70s, they started shutting those down. And understandably so, because most of them were very cruel, and they treated the patients they had there.
They're less than human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm beginning to think that maybe, and I hesitate to say this because it's kind of a new thought for me,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe creating facilities that are more like facilities for,
Like rehab or something.
well, or rehab or elderly, even, you know,
Senior living. Yeah.
like senior living,
Mm-hmm.
where they could go and they could live and still be monitored and made sure that they stay on their meds. And
just don't put the Cuomos in charge of it, though. That would be.
But yeah.
No, but I think you're right, and it's one of those baby in the bathwater type things. It's, you know, those facilities, like the problem wasn't that the facilities existed. The problem was the way they were run. If you had a much more like patient focused kind of facility that you could have, and you know, let's be honest, you know, there's money to be made in prescription drugs. You know, if you can treat a mental illness with a pill, rather than sending somebody to a facility and having a facility that's going to cost a lot of money and upkeep, yeah, that might be the way that some folks might go.
Well, you know, quite honestly, I mean, I'm a classic case that I suffer from depression. I have all my life.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was younger than you, I kept thinking it was an embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
It was something to be ashamed of. And I had a really good psychopharmaceutical nurse that treated me for a while. And she explained to me, you know, the brain is an organ just like anything else in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably, and as it turns out from experience, your brain doesn't quite work right. And, you know,
Well, you don't have to tell me that. I know.
but the thing with me is, I have a depressive disorder.
Mhm.
And when she explained that and they found the right medication for me to take, it levels out the depression, and
Yeah.
it makes this, I'm not sure I got the right term, but the synapses fire correctly, and it keeps me level. And I tried over years when I was younger in my 40s and stuff to lower it and come off it or lower it and stuff. And I finally found that level that is good for me.
Mhm.
And um, just recently, my neurologist that I was seeing for my migraines tried to get me to come off one of the meds I was on because he didn't think I needed it for the migraine. And
Mm.
when I came off of it, it was like I went into this horrible, horrible state where I just didn't like being with myself.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that's as recent as, I think it was about a year ago. And I called him up and I said, I can't do this. And he said, well, go back on it. And it only took a couple of days, but those were horrible days,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, people don't like to believe that their brain can control them like that.
Yeah.
Because, you like to feel like you're in control, but you don't realize that your brain really does a lot of control.
Yeah. There's a lot more going up here that's
Right.
not, that's not in control. And it's the funny thing too that, like, with my GERD medicine, and this is the typical me, is that I'll get going along and I'm like, I'm feeling fine. I don't need to take it anymore. And so I'll stop taking it, and then suddenly I'm like, oh, like this, and it's the same
Yeah.
with any kind of meds. It's like, you dummy, listen, you dingus, it's because it's doing its job. That's why you need to keep taking it. And
Right.
I really don't want to deter anybody from seeking pharmaceutical assistance. You got to find the right person and whatnot. I know that lately with a lot of the Pfizer stuff, some folks are more apprehensive to get into pharmaceuticals. But what works I'd say a majority of prescription drugs are designed for exactly that, what you described, that balance, that making sure that like right evening the boat, if for
Yeah.
lack of a better analogy.
And it's frustrating trying for many, many, many people, finding that level, especially as you're a growing adolescent, teenager,
Mm.
and someone in their 20s, because your brain's really not solidified until your 20s. Trying to find that balance or adjusting that balance. It takes constant monitoring, and it's really frustrating because you want to feel normal for you.
Yeah, you want to feel like you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And it's hard. And I think even as looking back as a child,
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out what is you and what is normal. How do you know? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm left-handed, and so I grew up in a left-handed world, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize until I got second or third grade that my approach to handwriting and my approach to things was different than a lot of other people. And
Were you ever told that that was wrong?
luckily I was not told that it
That's
was
good.
wrong. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I was never told it was wrong. Um, Thankfully that was a few or maybe 5 or 6 years before me, but I do know people that were changed um, because they were told it was satanic. Yeah,
Oh, left hand.
yeah. But I was lucky. I was not tried to
That's
change,
good.
but like, in baseball, I had to have a left-handed glove, and,
Hmm.
and then as time goes on, um, all of a sudden you find your perspective is different,
Hmm.
and that it's okay that your perspective is different.
Catch new episodes of Mental Health Mondays every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Start your week off with a smile and some inspiration.